you.
Okay, you did an intro already?
3, 2, 1. Hello, this is the JSC podcast, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about spiritual disciplines. So we just have some discussion points, and we're just going to go over them and just see where the conversation takes us about our spiritual disciplines, what we're good at, and how we can get better to get closer to God. So feel free, take it away.
All right, thank you. Hey guys, yesterday a bunch of us at church went to the riverbed here at Yoruba Regional Park, and for the first time in my life, I ran 8 miles. When was the last time you ran?
I ran Monday, but it was like a really light jog. It was like 2 miles.
Yeah, have you ever run 8 miles before?
No, absolutely. I don't want to.
Guys, let me tell you something. That was the most intense exercise that I've done in my life. And usually, like when I do play pickleball 3 hours, even like I could go 4 hours, but it's a different kind of like muscle. It's a different kind of fiber. It's a different kind of like energy that's been given out. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done. Like we went to Tacos Los Cholos after, and I almost fainted. I almost collapsed. Like I was not having it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about running the half marathon on October 5th?
Honestly, not good. Like, I mean, I was training in May. I was like running, but then obviously I went on missions and I had my trainings before, so I couldn't run for like basically 2 months. And like, yeah, it was a light jog on Monday, so it was pretty easy. Like, I wasn't like out of breath or anything, but I got my wisdom teeth taken out yesterday, and my doctor basically told me I can't like run for a week. So like the more time goes on, the more scared I'm getting that I'm not gonna finish. I'm just gonna cramp up halfway through, and so definitely scared. Like, I have no discipline. 1, because I can't, and 2, because I don't want to.
I agree with you because yesterday I basically learned from running the 8 miles, because I walked like 1 mile of it. I basically learned that I don't think I could finish. I really think I'm gonna have to stop completely at like 8 miles.
Yeah.
Unless I keep training.
Mm-hmm.
And I bring this up because running is one of those sports in life, I think, that really defines the necessity of discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Like running is one of those things, like the only way to actually get better at running is to keep running.
Yeah.
Like from now that we have 5 weeks left, the only way for you to even think about finishing that race is to run like every other day or walk every day to build up that aerobic. This is like very evident and easily seen in sports, athletics, that discipline, training is required to finish something or for greatness, to succeed in something, which is unfortunate because I think that the average common Christian, we don't take that principle into our faith.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, we don't take that into our faith. So I think I feel like this is what happens for Christians, and like you can tell me what you think. I feel like Christians, all they think is, I just need to believe in God and be a good Christian, and all those disciplines will just come naturally to me.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, like you do have to believe and you do have to be a good Christian, and the Spirit will reward you and Spirit will be with you. But really, there's an aspect where you yourself have to train, just like sports, just like anything in life. Where do you think like the Christian like falls into that? When do you think like the Christian falls into that?
So I think like spiritual disciplines, obviously like you said in the last podcast, like we have spiritual highs, spiritual lows. It's sort of like a wave, go up and down. When the spiritual high is there, that's when we are the most disciplined. And I think for the common average Christian, the spiritual low is when it stops, or when we start getting lower, when we start getting like discouraged by life happening. And so like an example would be like retreat. We're at retreat. It's just us and God. We don't have anything. We don't have access to even like our phones, no internet. And I think in those times, like, it's very easy to be close to God, and it's very easy to be spiritual disciplined, to wake up, to do devos, especially if it's all together. But when we're outside of that aspect and we don't have that spiritual high anymore, we lose that discipline, because then we're like, oh, like I don't have any more motivation or will to have a spiritual high.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and you know, the spiritual disciplines that we're talking about, obviously there is that like extraordinary, supernatural, spiritual discipline that we're talking about, like prayer, like confession. You know, I'll even put reading the Bible in there because it's like trying to hear God's voice.
yeah.
But there's also the other half, which is like the first discipline of what our church is going through, which is called sleep.
Yeah.
Something basic, something human. And because faith is not just about the spirit and the soul, right? It's also about the flesh. And so I think like my point is, I think Christians end up forgetting that we do have this like flesh that we need to train and work and to pursue godliness and holiness. And I was really inspired by our boys' discipleship program that we did over the summer called Man Project. And we were reading a book called The Disciplines of a Godly Young Man. And in that, you know, the author is basically saying like discipline in real life is really important, but it is doubly important in spiritual matters. You know, you reading the Bible, praying, sleeping for the basic discipline, like stillness, taking a walk, like talking to God throughout the day. Those disciplines are very important because he says this, the quantitative discipline of your work prepares you for the astonishing quality of your work. And so what that means is like the consistency, the number, the compounding effect of you doing these disciplines over and over again eventually is what actually produces that spiritual high that we experience in the retreat in your own home. You know, I think the real goal is that we experience retreat highs like here. You know, like when we have praise nights and it's like, oh my gosh, like the Spirit's here. Wouldn't it be nice if we had that like once a week? And I think the only way to get there is if you have discipline.
Yeah.
You need to have discipline. You need to run every day. You need to run every other day in order to be able to run the half marathon. I got a quick question for you. What is a Christian discipline that you are very good at doing?
I think I can think of two off the top of my head. First is worship, or I guess like praise, because we're supposed to worship all the time, right? But praise, like singing songs that are dedicated to God, for God, I think is something that I'm pretty good at. Not like skillfully, but being able to do just whenever. Whether that's just like at home, just like playing guitar, just like sitting there for like an hour worshiping God, or in the car, like listening to praise music, praising God, wherever it may be. I think being able to sing praises to God helps me. First of all, it gives me strength throughout the day. Second, like, you know, it reminds me like that God is like here.
Yeah.
That God is with me, and that with Him I have nothing to fear. And so that's why, like, I think I am good at praise.
Me
Because,
too. I think praise is one of my number ones, my top.
Yeah. And so, and the second one I think is prayer. I think over the last like 4 or 5 years, I've learned that you know, prayer isn't supposed to be just something that we like do at dinner time or like do at church. Prayer is like constant conversation with God, personal, intimate conversation with God, where God may know what's happening in our lives, God may know what's happening in our hearts, but like being able to tell God, like it's so different. And I think when I'm able to do that, and I'm able to do it like throughout the day, whether it's small prayers like, oh Lord, I'm so tired, like give me strength, or whether it's a big prayer like, oh God, like I'm so worried about this, that. I think I'm good at talking to God in that way. So yeah, how about you?
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, I think prayer and praise like top tier. Like it's like fundamentals. Like for me, it is praise and reading the Bible. And I also, I mean, I think I'm in like using a cheat code because my job is to do those things. So
So
I get very like interwoven with my disciplines and my work. Um, and honestly, I think it's a big blessing. I actually remember hearing like when I went to graduate school, like master's school for divinity, like theological school, like a lot of people were like, oh, like because your life is going to be so interwoven with prayer and praise and reading the Bible, it's going to be bad for you. But really, since I've been a pastor, since I've gone to seminary school, it's been the best thing. Like it's been the thing that's keeping me going, like through the highs and lows. And even now with like our praise team, like I love spending time. It becomes like an act of worship, and I'm lucky that it's part of my work. But I just like the praise. I like to read the Bible to understand the little details and the big scope. So ultimately, I think like the best disciplines are the ones that you are naturally either good at and you like doing, or the ones that are like interwoven into your life, which like brings us to the opposite side. Like, what are some Christian disciplines that you are bad at doing? Like you try maybe and then it doesn't work out, or you know you should be doing but you don't do it.
I also have two for this one. The first is reading my Bible. I hate reading. Like, whether it's like something I have to read, or even like games where I'm like reading like abilities, like, or anything. I hate reading, which is so funny because when I was like a little kid, like I loved reading. All I did was read. But now it's like opening a book is even like so hard for me. And there's so many things that I want to read, but I don't. And then that extends to the Bible. Right? Bible isn't just something that I want to read. It's something I need to read. Right? That's part of my spiritual disciplines, and it's something that, God speaks directly to us through the Bible.
And what are you saying? Like, what changed when you were a kid who were reading a lot to now who's not reading a lot? It's so hard for you.
Honestly, like, I think I started to find more things that are more fun than reading. And probably that happened when I like moved. I'm from Indiana, and so I moved from Indiana to California.
Right.
That was like what, 7th grade, and I realized when I was in Indiana, like, respectfully, and you went to college in Illinois, right? There's nothing to do in the Midwest. Right? So all you do is read and play outside. And like even with like video games, like I didn't play like Maple Story or League or anything until I moved to California. And then I go to school and I realize my friends all play these games.
I see.
And so I was like, oh shoot, maybe I should play those games.
Do you still play games now?
Yeah, I played last night. A little, but like, I think not that video games are a bad thing, but I think because it's more fun in the moment, I just lost that love for reading.
Oh, so you're saying that it's like more fun to do other things.
Yeah.
So that's why it's hard for you to do the thing that you need to do.
Yeah, because I'm like a competitive person, and so I play competitive games, and I just want to win. But when you're reading, like, you're not beating anyone. You know how you have like your points for when you like read books and then take tests in elementary school. I got like first in my school in Indiana for that because I made it a competition. But then like now I have nothing.
Now after that, right? There's no real competition. Yeah.
So
what's your second one?
The second one, this one is funny because I actually was like practicing this last night, and it was stillness. So last night, because I can't run and because I got my wisdom teeth taken out yesterday, so I couldn't like even come here for the run, I took a walk. And I decided to take a walk without listening to music. For me, I listen to music when I do anything, whether that's playing games, whether that's like cooking, like even like sleeping sometimes. Right? I listen to music. And so this time I was like, oh, I want to practice just like being still, right? But like just spending time with God. And then as I was walking and like trying to practice that, I'm pretty like fidgety. Maybe I have like ADD or something that's like undiagnosed. I low-key do, right? And so like I'm standing there, or like I'm walking like along like the sidewalk next to my house, and just like I can't focus on being still, or like emptying my head and just like being with God. All these like other thoughts are like running through my mind, like all of these thoughts that are running through my mind are like concerning the world. And I realized, I already knew before, but I realized then and there, I was like, wow, I really suck at just like being in God's presence.
Maybe like present,
Yeah.
being present.
And so eventually, like, I walked like 3 miles yesterday, and maybe like halfway through the walk, I finally got in a place to where I could.
Yeah.
But it took me a mile and a half to get there.
Bro, let me tell you the craziest thing. Yesterday, I ran 8 miles, right? And it was a spiritual run. Well, I basically did not listen to anything for like 95% of it. I listened to a motivational like thing for like 7 minutes, and honestly, I turned it off because it was one of those things where like if I had music, like I just couldn't do it. I needed to be quiet. I needed to be like focused and breathing, and it was such a good experience because, like you said, like when I do dishes or when I'm walking or take out the trash, like I gotta have something on.
Yeah.
But it was weird because I thought I would need that too for running, but it's completely opposite. Like I was telling like David Goggins in my ear, I was like, just shut up, I can't hear you right now. I can't listen to you. I just like needed to be quiet, and so I shut it off. And but that was like at the end. But really, like when it was the hardest part of the run, like mile 5, mile 6, bro, I was talking to God. I was talking to God. And you know the crazy part is, what I'm trying to say is like, it took, like you said, mile 1.5, right? It took me miles 1 through 5 to come to a place where I was so vulnerable and transparent with God. Because basically, it wasn't like God give me strength, God like I love you, you know, like all those like nice things. At mile 6, bro, I had the revelation that life is about like me and the church. Life is about me and my wife, my closest like person. Life is about me, right? Like me against the world, right? But ultimately, I was like, oh my God. Like I had an oh my God moment. I was like, life is about me and God. There's nobody else on this run except for me and God. Like nothing else in this world.
Yeah.
Like no matter where I go, no matter in the darkest places, no matter how many miles I'm running, God is here. And so that's what I mean by we need to be disciplined if we really want to experience God.
Yeah.
I think like nobody can tell me that they have seen Jesus Christ on the road to Damascus, because that's basically what happened to me. I saw Jesus yesterday on the road to Damascus, and I don't think you can get there unless you've been disciplined enough to go, to be there, to be present, and like you said, like how do you think like you can be better at being still? Because it is not easy to be disciplined. It's not natural to be this disciplined. What do you think you want to tell yourself and some of our readers? Like,
I think first, like I had a very similar experience, obviously, because I mean we both basically did the same thing. Mile like 1.5, I had a very spiritual revelation that basically like God told me to be bold and courageous. I had a lot of thoughts running through my mind about like my life, and I think like you, I also realized like on that walk, like my life is not about just me. My life is not about the things that revolve around me. My life revolves around God instead. And I think like to get to that point, yeah, we do need to be disciplined. But also, once that happens to you, I think that's when discipline will come naturally.
Right.
Because then you want to be able to keep talking to God and to be able to keep experiencing God over and over again. And like similarly, like when I went on missions, like the same thing happened. Like just being still in God's presence, like even though it was so difficult for me to just like sit still, just like do nothing and just pray and then just wait for God's response. Like talking through it. Once it happened, then I wanted to be more still. That's why I'm practicing it now, because then I like when I'm still in God's presence, I can feel God's presence.
Yeah.
And yeah, basically like once you experience it, that's when everything just gets so much easier, because then you keep like striving for it.
Yeah.
You keep wanting to be in God's presence.
I think what you're describing is like there comes a moment as you're training for discipline that you kind of reach a new stage
Mm.
where you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm here.
Yeah.
Where it's like easy to be still. I enjoy being still. Like,
Yeah.
I see the rewards of being still. And so I think for everybody, like the number one thing that you need to hear is the Bible right now. And God is saying this, 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7. I think I'll just say this, verse 7. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7. Paul says to Timothy, train yourself for godliness. Train yourself. It's something that requires training. And I don't know what sport or what endeavor everybody is on, but I just know this about training. The best way to train is not to think I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. That's a hard way to build discipline. That's hard. The best way to build discipline, the best way to increase your bench, the best way to run this half marathon is to basically say, I'm going to train real hard for this amount of time, like 1 month. You know, if you say you're going to train running for 5 weeks, it's much easier to say that than I'm going to do it for 5 years.
Yeah.
Maybe even just like 5 days I'm going to train. When you make it intensive and purposeful, that discipline becomes something you can actually work on and achieve, and then over and over again until you make it goals. And so here's my encouragement. Like I think that Hyunsoo and I are working towards. I think the Holy Spirit is speaking. But here's what I'm getting at. Our church is working on a new sermon series called Falling in Love with God. And it's about, do you remember the triangle?
Us. Oh no. God, me, us.
Right. And God is about the narratives that we hear about him in the Gospels. And me is the disciplines. And then us is the community aspect. And so for the disciplines, for us, like the first thing that I ask everybody to do is sleep. Okay. Basically what I'm saying is for the next 10 weeks, 11 with the sleep, 10 weeks, we are all going to take an intensive training session to build these spiritual disciplines. Okay? So it's like something is happening. There's a movement going on. Everybody is gathering together. We're all doing the same thing. Literally, like yesterday was one time we didn't sleep on time, but the rest of the nights we did sleep before 11. And it's the funny parts of the week when we are hanging out with church and Isaac's like, hey, don't we need to go home to sleep? And now it's like, you're right. And so that helps us to build this one. And so, okay, TLDR, take the church's discipline that we are going through right now seriously. Sleep this week. Next week, it's going to be taking a walk in the morning. Take it seriously. Do it with everybody at church intensively. And at the end of 10 weeks, see like how far you've come. See how far you come, because it's much better to do it intensively with other people than to do it alone for a long period of time. And so that's kind of where I want to end today, to train yourself for godliness. And I encourage everybody to come out to church, to sleep, and to talk to each other about the disciplines.
Hey, thank you guys.